want to welcome you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I'm your host. Today, we're just going to jump right in because this is an episode unlike any other episode I've ever had the privilege of hosting. I mean, I guess if you think that I am hosting this, I'm not honestly sure at times. Neal Bledsoe is my guest, and this is the only time that I have ever interviewed somebody while they've been at a gym working out. And he was just amazing. I did very little editing, and what I did is he actually came on a little bit before and interact with the audience, and I've put those as the outtakes at the end, so I'll get back to you about those. But for right now, we're just going to jump right in as you get a rather unfiltered, quite enjoyable and entertaining Neal Bledsoe. Enjoy! Well, I want to welcome all of you to another episode of Media from the Heart. My name is Ruth Hill, and I am your host, and I have a very special guest with me today, Neal Bledsoe, someone who I've actually been trying to interview for several years, and thankfully it finally happened. So how cool is that? So Neal, welcome. It's nice to officially meet you. And
nice to officially meet you as well. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the persistence. I was just playing hard to get. I hope you won't hold it against me.
Oh, you know what? I have learned in this business, because I've actually been interviewing, my podcast is new, but I've learned that in this business, you're persistent, and I am very persistent. I do not give up easily. And
good.
Yeah.
That is a good quality to have.
All right. So I'm going to read you this bio that I'm wondering, Neal, did you write this bio yourself, or did somebody write it for you?
I don't know. You have to read it first.
All right. All right. Well, this bio is Neal Bledsoe's official bio. Neal Bledsoe is an actor and writer who grew up in Seattle, but for some reason, the internet thinks he's from Canada. That's nonsense. He was only born there. He was named after the Beat Generation hero, Neal Cassidy, and a car thief his father knew. He's been a Seahawks fan longer than it's been fashionable, but has almost given up on the Mariners. On screen, he's played everything from an Old Spice man to flying Nazis to hot food truck chefs, and recently could be seen on the show shamelessly flouting his white privilege. Speaking of which, one time he was paid to be a model in a Tiffanys ad with the Dutch supermodel. Okay, is it Dootson? I hope that's right.
Doubtson, but I don't know. Maybe that was just a lucky guess.
All right. Those were the days. You might have also read his series for Sports Illustrated, The Delicate Moron, about his attempt to play professional football with the LA Kiss, the Arena League team once owned by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. His career highlight so far was when Gene said he was a very attractive man of great sexual power. Beyond that, he's published work in Men's Health and several fine literary journals that no one ever reads. He also has a dog named Pirate, who probably has more Instagram followers than you do. All right. So, well, Neal.
No, I didn't write that.
Okay, you didn't write that. Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure.
What would make you think that? That just sounds like something you would normally see on IMDb.
Well, I've actually written a few IMDb bios in my day for people.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to write anything like that, so I'm thinking.
Oh, why not? Why ever not?
Yeah, well, because I guess I was. They wanted me to be more serious, which what's the fun in that? But
right. So they would say like so and so is an award-winning actor. I've seen some on IMDb that are like the most trash things that I've ever seen. It'll be like there was a guy that I was on a TV show with. He wasn't a very good actor, and he was like it said about him like hailed as one of the finest talents of his generation. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, how could you? And if you look on the bottom of some of these things, it'll say which PR company has written them. and you can kind of tell it's like, oh, okay, so and so's paid somebody $4,000 for like a one-time bio blurb, and it just sounds so manufactured. I think if you look on the bottom of my IMDb thing, it actually says that it says Neal Bledsoe, that it's been written by me. Yeah.
Okay.
But I suppose I could put Neal Bledsoe PR, and then people would like come banging down my door and say, "Wow, that sounds great."
Why not? That's what I would say. Hey, I think that your bio sounds less pretentious and more fun. And after reading that, I think, hey, let's hire the guy. Let's put him in a blockbuster film. He sounds like the kind of guy I'd want to have leading my film. But that's just me.
Absolutely. And then this is the follow-up. Right below that are all the awards that I've won for acting.
Okay.
So that's the 1-2 punch. You got to have those, and none of them are real. I made those up too.
Okay. Well, why not? Hey.
I'm kidding. No, I did win those awards.
I know you did. I know. Yeah. Well, the best part for me is that you grew up in Seattle because
that's right.
Yeah, I live near Seattle. I live in Yelm, Washington. Don't know if you know where Yelm is.
Yeah, I know Yelm. Absolutely.
Okay.
Of course.
That's good. All right. Well, I was born in Tacoma, but now I live in Yelm. We live out in the country and on 5 acres. And so
you say that again, Ruth? I missed the last one.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. I live out in the country. I was born in Tacoma. Now I live in Yelm, and we have 5 acres.
Cool.
And we have 2 goats, and
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's pretty great living out here.
Ruth, hang on. Is this podcast about you or about me?
Oh, well, I don't know.
I'm kidding. No, I'm just being a pet. I'm sorry.
No, you please don't apologize. No, it's perfectly fine. I'm basically in tune with sense of humor. If you lead me down a wrong road, it's fine.
Fantastic. I love an interview that starts out with the interviewer's bio. It's like, okay, right on. Here we go. Fantastic. So I was born an unhappy child, Neal, an unhappy child. Didn't get out in the sun a lot, and I developed several rare skin conditions the doctors couldn't diagnose for years. Made me very mistrustful of people, if you know what I mean. Check my watch, 45 minutes in, I'm like, geez, Ruth, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, I admit, you mentioned something from Pacific Northwest, and
that's right.
I feel like I have to share, so.
You do, man. I love the PNW. If anybody's ever not gotten out there, there's this vicious lie that we tell about the Pacific Northwest, in that it's rainy all the time. The truth is that it's actually getting much nicer with climate change. It's actually getting, and I think Ruth can attest it. It's like we've had our hottest. We don't barely get any rain in the summer. We never really had any rain in the summer. From about July 4th through Labor Day, it is the nicest place you could ever want to be. And then get up to the San Juans and the Puget Sound, even on up into Vancouver and things. It's glorious. As my brother puts it, God's country.
I agree with you on that. So Neal, and I know you've probably answered this, but this is always the question that gets asked. So
Brief.
What inspired you to get involved with acting?
Well, I wish I had a better answer, but it was just fear and desperation. I didn't want to become a white collar automaton like anybody else that I grew up with. And I was kind of at a critical juncture in my life where I didn't graduate my first year of high school, and I went to a boarding school the next year, and I was gonna go off to university, and but the only reason I could think about going to university was to join a frat, and I didn't really know anything about myself, and I really wanted to kind of just know some things about myself and take another year and be really deliberate about my choices, where it felt like everything else I had done up to that point in my life is I had been kind of on a bit of a conveyor belt, and I'd always lived under somebody else's choices. So the first real choice that I made in my life was to go to art school. But I didn't, and the reason I went to art school rather than try to go be a Disney kid or just go straight to Los Angeles is I didn't know how good I was. I assumed that I really liked doing it. And I knew that, like, of the people that I was in contact with, my peer group, the people that I was in classes, I always felt like the best one. Of course, any egomaniac, which you have to be an actor, feels like the best one in their acting class, because that is the wonderful delusion that keeps us all going, that keeps that persistence up. So that's how I did it. And luckily, it was something that I really loved. And it goes in fits and starts, as I'm sure you've interviewed other actors that have a love-hate relationship with it. It's a very hard career. Not when they pay you and you're on set and you're making a movie, and the rewards of it are really nice. It looks like it's very glamorous, but there's a psychic and emotional toll to it, and it is very hard to keep that level of persistence and optimism, that persistent optimism up in the face of either shrugging indifference or hostile negativity. But, perhaps one of the other things that made me an actor that keeps me going and is a bit of a superpower of mine is I've always kind of been the new kid, and I've always used humor and drama and public speaking as a way of kind of putting myself out there. And for me, it was like a bit of social survival, and almost like constantly new peer groups, constantly new experiences, and it was a way that I had to really get outside myself. And thank God I could find a way to professionalize it.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I really love that you said, Neal, is that I love the story, frankly, because I always love to hear people's stories about how they got involved in acting. But what I really love is that you said people have been making all these choices for you, and you finally decided you were going to make a choice for yourself, and you were going to do this. And you did that at a relatively young age. I mean, some people spend their entire lives letting everybody tell them what to do, and you're going to do it this way, and they give in. But how great it was that you made the decision at that age. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this choice for myself, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah. I think that we can talk ourselves out of what we want to do quite easily. And I would say the other thing that I had going for me is I was just dumb enough to think I could do it. And I think you really have to have that kind of, you either have to be ignorant of or not heed the odds that you're up against, or just be so arrogant in your beliefs, in your skill set, that you think you can overcome. And I remember talking to I was interviewing the quarterback Kurt Warner, the guy that was part of that The Greatest Show on Turf. And he was talking about being quarterback, and he was like the best in the state of Iowa. Maybe I think he's from Iowa and then went to Northern Iowa. But they brought this like former college quarterback in to talk to all the high school seniors, and Kurt was a high school senior. And he was looking around the room and he was trying to scare him straight. He said, "All right, all you guys, you just know, look around this room right now. Just know, one of you maybe is going to make it to the next level." And was basically telling them to quit. Kurt kind of said, "Yeah, I was looking around the room going, well, guess you guys have to figure out something else to do." And it's like that insane belief. And then Kurt, of course, was up against all sorts of, for those of you that don't know football, the Kurt Warner story is Kurt Warner was up against all sorts of hurdles and went to a non-Division I school, didn't get drafted, ended up on the practice squad of the Green Bay Packers, really kind of missed his shot there, ended up in the Arena League, and was was kind of a journeyman and was bagging groceries and having that very humble moment where he was looking at the Wheaties boxes and stacking it, like being a stock boy in a grocery store to subsidize his dream. He was quite literally looking at the athletes that he wanted to be in the boxes of Wheaties and he was stocking the shelves thinking, I want to do that. Got this shot when he was 28 years old, long after he thought he could kind of do it. And through, by hook and by crook, through random series of circumstances, he ended up as the quarterback of his team. And in his first year, not only won the MVP and Rookie of the Year, but also won the Super Bowl and MVP of the Super Bowl. And like, he's the only person to ever do that. And that is that kind of the validation of that kind of just fervent self-belief you have. So I think of that story. And then I think of also another story of a moment when I was like late in high school. And I remember talking to some girl at a party and we were all kind of like thinking where we wanted to go. And she was like, yeah, I really like taking photographs. I really like nature. I really like those things. And I was like, oh, I know what you should do. She's like, what's that? I was like, you should be a photographer for National Geographic. And I was dead serious. She was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because in her mind, she's just like, everybody wants to go do it. There's no way in hell I'm going to go do that. I was like, why not? Go do it, man. Go do it. So yeah, I think you have to have that kind of, you have to believe that you can do it.
Exactly. Well, and I love that you just said all that, because it's inspiring to hear actors tell those kinds of stories. I mean anybody, but it's refreshing. I guess that's the way I put it, because sometimes we get the idea that actors are all egotistical and that they're all about appearances and I know that that's because we have this idea of A-listers, which I know.
Sure. Some of us are deeply superficial, Ruth.
Right.
Give credit where credit is due.
I know. But well,
unlike me, and I'm shallowly depthful.
Well, I was able to tell something about you the moment you came on, because you're already talking with the fans. It's like, that was like the first thing. You're talking with everybody else. And that already told me something about you, which I'd already had essentially figured out, because I don't know, I just had that vibe about you, that you were one that cared about other people and that it wasn't all about you.
Yeah, sometimes, in all honesty, though, Ruth, sometimes I can be incredibly self-centered and solipsistic. You know, like as I'm wondering, about. I'm 40 years old, and I've got a lovely girlfriend that I dearly love, but it's one of those questions in my life that I'm like, I don't know if I want to have children. I don't know if I want to start a family, and not because I'm anti-kids or anti-family. It's more that I also am still wrestling with all those things, all the self-centeredness. So I guess, not to go too far down a tangential, emotional, therapeutic hole, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think I am by my very nature, and I think a lot of people are very self-centered. I'm just like, perhaps because I'm aware of it and I'm trying to work on it, that I'm trying to be better at it, you know?
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say, is you recognize it, because I think human beings, well, a little baby is born selfish because they have to be. If the baby doesn't come into this world saying, I'm the most important thing, you have to pay attention to me, you've got to meet all of my needs first and nobody else's, and the baby's going to die. So there's
right.
nothing wrong with having some kind of selfishness. We all are going to have that. I mean, that's just the nature of human beings. But the fact is, you actually recognize it, and you're working on it. And see, I think, and that should be ideally what everybody should be doing. And we're all going to have those moments. Well,
thank you, Ruth. I appreciate that.
Well,
From one Northwester to another. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm glad to do it. I tend, as people who know me know that I'm very positive, and I'm all about being positive and shining a positive light on everybody as much as I possibly can. That's what I like to do. So now I know that you've done some writing, so I thought that was really interesting to read that you had done some of this writing. I haven't actually read the things that you wrote, so you're right when you said that journals.
It's all gibber.
I understand. But you've also done some acting. Actually, the first time
a fair amount.
Fair amount, right? The first time I became aware of you actually was Coming Home for Christmas, that particular movie that you did with Danica McKee.
Oh, sweet.
That was my introduction to Neal Bledsoe, and all I remember is that I loved the movie. I thought you and Danica were really well paired in the movie, but then I looked at your social media handle and thought, who on earth would create such a social media handle? I'll be honest. When I saw because I Bledsoe, it's like, what? Who is this guy? That was because I didn't know anything about you. I didn't know that you had this delightful sense of humor that you definitely have.
So my takeaway on this, Ruth, is that you hate puns.
No. I don't hate them. I don't
get off your high hate pun high horse. How dare you?
I don't
dare you.
But I wasn't sure what to think of the social media handle. But I'll tell you one thing: I never forgot your social media handle. As a result, it's like that's what I'm
right.
For. So there you go. It's like I can't forget it. It's there.
My Danica begged me to change my bio from that I had. I forget what it is right now, but while we were shooting Winter Palace, it was the title of one of my SI articles, which was a quixotic bit of fuckery, and I had that in there. And she came over to me with a little coffee. She was like, I could tell something was on her mind. She was hey, can we just, while we're doing the movie, can we change that? And I was like, okay. So I think I changed it to the wholesomest boy in the whole of Wholesomeville, just for her.
Well, that was sweet.
She was yeah.
I can imagine.
Exactly. Right. And now it's just lyrics by NWA and Dr. Dre. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Well, but
writing.
But yes, but my introduction to your acting was Coming Home for Christmas. So that was my and I really did like you. I mean, that was the thing. I was like, they put you in this movie, and then I'm like, why didn't Hallmark bring you back? I'll be honest, that was the next thing. It's every time I turn around, I'd be like, well, why is Neal Bledsoe not in this? And I really did have those thoughts. So you see, maybe I didn't like your initial social media pun, but I was so taken by your acting ability in that movie, and it was so memorable that I kept looking for you in more Hallmark movies.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it was. I think I was focused on other things at the time. I really wanted to do, and truth be told, I didn't have the best of experiences on that first one. I think I thought, all right, well, I kept being told to smile more. And if you remember my role as this kind of curmudgeon character, I was supposed to be drawn out of myself, and I was supposed to be serious, and I was supposed to lighten up and unfreeze. And when the director just kept telling me, just smile more, I was like, this is so awful and so bad. You're not trusting me to craft a character. And I think oftentimes one of my frustrations with Hallmark GAC Lifetime movies is oftentimes I think they do a disservice to the audience because they want to remove any sense of conflict. But I really think as an actor that's where the entire story comes from, is conflict and catharsis, right? you have to have something you're fighting against, something you're learning from, and then you learn from that and you change. And that, I think, once the audience can go with you on that journey, then you're right there with the character. You're feeling the same thing. And I know that's true from all my other work, and I think that has to be true in this work. So I think that, to answer your question, I thought it was going to be more of that, and I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do it. And then it was the middle of the pandemic, and I got another call for Christmas Carousel. And at first I thought they had made a mistake. I was like, "You want me to play a British prince?"
Yeah.
You realize I got to use an accent. And it's like, and I think the only reason I did it is because they usually would have shot those things over in Romania, right? Hallmark would have shot it in Romania, and I think they were gonna do it. It was like Jen Lilly or somebody was going to be in it, and then it was like Rachel Boston and I up in North Bay, Ontario.
Yeah.
And I had such a blast. Yeah. And it was like November of 2020. I hadn't acted in like almost a year because the pandemic shut down. And then I just went to town, and I was just like, there was no bad ideas on set, and I had such a blast trying to make it as much of a comedy as I could, while also trying to ground it as much as I could. And also I was like, all right, I'd seen enough of the princes to kind of know that like most of the princes in Hallmark films were like, felt like they had sticks up their bums. It was like they were always, or it was like some American guy doing just a terrible, or a Canadian guy doing just a terrible British accent. Like, oh, hello, Lindsay. Oh, have you been to the truffle farm lately? And it would be like terrible. And so I was like, what if this prince is like the exact opposite? And he's just like, he's a prince, but wants to be the court jester. So it was a blast. And then I think that created a nice template. So then when we just did the Winter Palace, it was like, I already had that kind of loaded into to my DNA, or to like how I wanted to approach the role. And then that was like, it was that plus on overdrive, because we were like literally rewriting scenes in the movie. Between Danica, the director, and the producer, and myself, I was physically rewriting the scenes. And the last two scenes of the film, which were the last 2 days that we shot, they were my words. And I've never had that before in a movie like that, where you have that much freedom and that much like ability to make it as good as you can and stand by your work. And that's, for my money, that's a kind of one of the things that I really valued about working with GAC. You know? Switching gears slightly, Paula wants to hear my best Canadian accent. So what was it? You gotta give me like so if you want to hear me out on this, you have to ask my dad, who wants to come back, and he's from Toronto. But later I go to Montreal. I don't know, what do you guys want to do, Sometimes when I do a Canadian accent, all I can hear are like the kids in the hall doing women. If anybody doesn't know those, that's a sketch comedy group. But anyways, that is my long and rambling way of saying that I'm running for president.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm using the podcast to launch my presidential bid, Ruth.
Okay, I didn't know that. I don't usually let my podcast be used for political purposes, but I'll make an exception in your case, Neal, because it's you. Only because it's you. Now, if it were anybody else, I'd probably say no. But yeah, so go ahead. If you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. That's it. I'm going to let my face speak for itself.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, though, you might have a hard time, because I think they might have to adjust our Constitution.
No, I'm a naturalized citizen. I was born to 2 American parents.
Yeah, I know. But the Constitution states that an American president has to be born in the U.S.
I don't think so. I think you have to be born as a citizen in the U.S. I don't know. Let's fact check this. Somebody write us in the comments below. Let's fact check this.
As far as
otherwise, my retirement plan is fakakta. I'm wrong. Uh-oh. Sounds like I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I love that the Hungarian person was the first person to check in with the fact finding. Like we are woeful in our civics in America. Well, thank you, Timmy.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. I mean, I understand the purpose of having it be that it has to be somebody born in the U.S., but I think in some ways that I would be all for, especially, I mean, man, President Neal Bledsoe, why not? Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I would be all for having a campaign that we change the Constitution. We're changing the Constitution regularly. So, I mean, I don't mind. Let's have an amendment. I'd have no problem. You have my vote. I don't even know what your platform is, Neal. I don't know anything about what.
When was the last time we changed the Constitution?
Well, we make amendments.
I think when was the last time? When was the last time we had an amendment? Was the 90s or?
I don't know. It's been a long time because I know they tried to add the amendment, the Equal Rights Amendment. That's been something they've been trying to add for years, for decades, I think. But I don't know. But I'd be all for it. I know that you can do it if you have like two-thirds of the states has to vote, if I remember correctly. I believe that's
in a time of extreme partisanship, I think the one thing we all can agree on is Neal Bledsoe.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm because I bled so and I paid for that.
There you go. Okay, well,
what is it? No, I paid for the content of this ad. I'm Neal Bledsoe and I paid for the content of this ad.
There you go. Well,
in uncertain times, make it Bledsoe times. I'm Neal Bledsoe and I paid for the content of this ad.
Well, I think you have the vote of everybody here, and I just have a feeling like we could get a lot more people voting for you. I would be all for it. So
right in Canada, right
there you go. I'm all for it, and I am happy to have it be that you made this announcement. He bled so much for this country. That's right. That's good.
He bled so much for this country. That is so fantastic. Right. Well done.
You've got a campaign manager now, and she's right. Canadian.
That is right. We are a true multinational coalition. That's fantastic.
Well, I didn't know you were going to announce this on my podcast, but how cool! I'm all for it. So
right on. Thank you.
Yep. So before I do open it up for a couple questions here, because I'm sure there'll be at least a couple. So do you have anything else coming up that you can mention that you'd like to plug?
No. I mean, I was in an episode of The Blacklist playing the Elon Musk of sex robots, but that bores me as much as I'm sure it bores you. So not really. No. Watch this space. You know what I've been doing, what I have been working on, because that makes me sound like I'm living in my mom's basement or something. And I'm not, okay, Ruth, I'm not. You know what I am doing? I've been doing a bit of producing and development of some really interesting ideas. One of which is the story of this Green Beret major in, no, Paula, I'm not taking Trudeau's job. One of which is the story of this Green Beret major who started out as kind of Lawrence of Afghanistan and was a really successful Green Beret training Pashtun tribesmen up in the hinterlands of the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and ended up really being discredited and almost becoming this Colonel Kurtz-like figure from Apocalypse Now. So I'm working on turning that into a television show. I'm also writing a book about acting. That's actually what led me to ChristmasCon in the first place. I wanted to kind of explore a world that I really didn't know that much about and I'd never been in before. Man, I loved it. had such a good time, but I was really driven there by my own curiosity, because I think I'm curious if you guys see this or not, but I'm sure you do. It's like you're starting. Sandra and I were just texting last night about Lacey Chabert getting a production deal out of Hallmark, right? And I think there's a lot of questions like which actors are Hallmark actors, which actors are GAC actors, which actors are Lifetime actors, and it's not quite working that way. It's more that you have like these different kind of buckets and silos of different actors that are becoming producers. So you have somebody like Danica or Jessica Lowndes or Lacey Chabert now. They're developing things, they're producing things, and so they're almost becoming job creators, which is a far different job than, say, Paul Green or myself. I don't know if Paul Green produces and develops on Hallmark, but it's a far different job than being on One Call to Heart, right? That is a Brad Preboy production, and you're always going to be kind of working for him. But I think the thing that we all have to do as actors and arguably as people is kind of become job creators, because being an actor in 2022, there have never been more jobs available. There have never been more streaming platforms, but for some reason, there have never been fewer careers. And a lot of it is because some of the same pressures that everybody in the world faces about being automated, or seeing your job shift offshore, or seeing wages cut, or being turned into like a gig worker, essentially. Those same things have happened in the acting industry. And I'll give you an example. So it used to be, say that, if you wanted to be an actor, you went to Hollywood, right? Went to Hollywood, you became an actor because that's where all the studios were. That's where all the movies were shot. That's where every decision was made. Now, those jobs are also in Vancouver. They're in Toronto. They're in Atlanta. They're in New York. They're in London. They're in Sydney. They're in Auckland. They're all over the world, including Los Angeles. And so while that's really great, it's a finite pool of jobs that's kind of going everywhere and making things very, very broad, but a bit thin. It's kind of like a mile wide and an inch deep right now. So, as an actor, I have to be a creator as well as being really good at my job. And I see the people that are getting out of acting school right now, and I mean, their jobs are really changing. So when I went to acting schools are about 20 years behind any school probably is. It's like they're teaching you the things that would have gotten you hired when those teachers were in the professional workforce. And so that knowledge is probably 15, 10, 20 years old, sometimes 5, but it's not like, it's not like you're not getting it from working professionally. And what's really interesting is like we were learning how to be really good at I was learning how to be a really good repertory actor. So I could play Othello or Hamlet and I had a really good classical theater background, which could then make me very adaptable and I could kind of play everything. Well, when I got out of school, that's not really what they were looking for. And especially now, they're looking for diversity. So to the degree where everybody is going to be essentially playing the role so if you have somebody who's disabled, then you find the disabled actor. If you have somebody who's gay, you find the gay actor. If you have somebody who's trans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's creating it's just further exacerbating that, where you have, say, the trans actor playing just that trans role. You have the straight actor playing just that straight role. But then also you have this thing in LA where everybody is looking to kind of play the star. And they'll be the stars of the show there in LA, and then they'll have all the supporting roles kind of in a different city. And it's those supporting roles that exist in Atlanta, New York, Vancouver, Toronto, that are the jobs that other people need to grow their careers. So it's a very funky time, and I kind of have to do a little bit of everything, which doesn't really sound all that sexy. And I wish I could say it's like, yeah, Leo and I, we're going to be in the south of France this year, but it's just like, it's not like that. I mean, you got to fight tooth and nail. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? I love, Neal, that we just go from being humorous and light, and then you become so deep. And I really do enjoy it. I enjoy that we could just jump back and forth so easily. Jump back and forth so easily with that. I don't always see that, but I love it. I just want to say it's great.
Okay, it's my mushrooms are kicking in, and it's the hallucinogenic hormone. Just take me back and forth.
There you go. Yeah. Timmy's asking, what movie title would best describe you? So what?
Braveheart, girl.
Braveheart.
What movie title would best describe me? I don't know. Extremely loud and incredibly close. I don't know. I've never. Let me get back to you on that one. What movie title? No. Actually, let's solve this riddle. What movie title would accurately describe me? Man, jeez Louise. The French Connection. No, I don't know. I don't know. Pass.
Let's see. Paula Waters says fun and funner. And I guess instead of
I'd say it's just say Dumb and Dumber.
I know that's actually that might be a better designation there. Robin Neely has a question. Okay, Robin, if you could choose any occupation for your next Hallmark or GAC character, what would it be?
I would say former military or former or an aging quarterback.
Okay, that's okay. I could see both. Yeah, I could definitely see both. That'd be fun. I could see that. All right. Is there somebody who would like to come on and ask a question, and you could ask the question to him? I'm looking to see if anybody
hit me with the good stuff, guys. I'm a little drunk, so I could play Terry Bradshaw. I know. If only my hair was blonde and I was balding.
Okay. Paula Cooley, let's bring you on.
Hello.
What's up, Paula?
If I could only watch, all right. If I could only watch one of your movies, what would be the one that you would put that you're most proud of, or that you would suggest?
We're talking GAC and Hallmark movie? Or we're talking any movie?
No, doesn't matter. Any of your movies.
Man, I'll tell you, no fooling. I was really pleased with what we did in the Winter Palace, and I would say that is because of the combination of acting and writing that I was doing in that movie. I would say that, but there's a movie where I play a methamphetamine addict. That was the first time I won a slew of Best Acting awards. It's called Junction, and came out in like 2012, 2011. It's about 10 years old, but that was the first time that I really kind of felt like I got it. That there was something, I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually pretty good at this acting thing. And there was some great actors in it with me. David Zayas is in it, Michael O'Keefe, Anthony Rapp, Tom Pelfrey. There's some really, really great actors. So that was, I think, my favorite.
Good question.
I'll look it up. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon if you want to see it. There's also a really terrible cowboy movie I made with Val Kilmer if you also want to see that.
Okay.
God, it's awful. It's the worst. It's so bad.
Oh,
and you see me like desperately trying to struggle my way through the dialogue.
Oh my goodness. All right, Timmy, go ahead and ask your question.
Since I didn't get very far with my movie title question, I have an alternative one.
All right, thank God.
What's your most memorable childhood experience?
My most memorable childhood experience. Wow. there was one that kind of like, so my company that is like my pay through my little like corporation is called I Am Biff Johnson. And Biff Johnson was like he was a character that like my dad would call me, and like when he would like make bedtime stories he would call them Biff Johnson stories, right? And so I would always dress like a firefighter, like a lot of little boys. I was really just enamored with firefighters, and so every day I wore this red rain slicker and little plastic fire hat. And my dad was living at his with my grandparents at the time, so I'd like grab the hose and pretend to be a firefighter putting out, you know, fires in grandma's daisy. And one day my dad took me to the grocery store. It was a beautiful day. We pull into the parking lot of the grocery store, and there's a fire rig there. All the firemen are just lounging. It's a beautiful day. They're all just kind of like lounging, getting suntanned. The eyes are closed, and the sun's beaming down on them. And the other firefighters are inside trying to get groceries for the whole crew house. And I just know that this is my shot. This is my shot this is my destiny right here. And so I just march up to them, and they say, "Well, hey, little guy, what's your name?" And I say in like the deepest voice I can muster, "My name's Biff Johnson." And they say, it's like, "Well, hey there, Biff, come on up for a ride." And immediately my dad said, "His name's not Biff," and I've never forgiven him. Never. So that's one. And then the other was when I was a little kid, I thought I invented the show Speed Racer. You know Speed Racer? Japanese cartoon from the 60s. It's like everybody. It's a classic retro futuristic Japanese cartoon where they're like talking like this, like, "We got to get to the X5," and it's just like it's so trash. So when I was little, Seattle has all these hills. There's these like big antennas on top of these hills, and all of these hills have these antennas that kind of over. And I thought that's why I asked my mom once we were driving around the car, "Hey, Mom, what are those big things in the hills?" She's like, "Oh, that's where the TV comes from." And she meant like that's where the signal gets beamed into like a TV set. Because it's like, this was before cable, everything else. So I thought that she meant that's where TV lives. In my mind, that was like, that's Hollywood right there. That's where like, so I was in daycare, and I was on a little like tricycle race, and I won the tricycle race. And I like thrust my arm up in the air, and I was like, "Speed Racer," and I yelled it right to those TV antennas. So naturally, they heard me, and they thought it was a great idea, and they ran with it. And like a week later, there was a commercial on for Speed Racer, and I was like, "This is amazing. I've invented a TV show." My producing career started really young. I was like, "This is fantastic." So I was hanging out with my babysitter, who was like cool, and like, you know, kind of, she had this really cool younger brother who was like maybe 5 years, 6 years older than me, but like really wanted to join him in his little like crew of rats. And so they were all kind of hanging out, and they all kind of thought I was like a little snot-nosed little kid. And they didn't really let me play in any of their games. And I knew right then and there that I had to impress them. If I wanted any hope of being cool for the rest of my life, I had to impress them. And so there was this moment, this lull in the conversation. I said to him, "Hey guys, I invented Speed Racer." And they all just kind of turned and went. They were like, "You what?" And I'm like, "No big deal. I invented Speed Racer." And they were like, "No, you didn't." And it took me a while to learn that no, in fact, I had not invented Speed Racer.
These were brilliant. Thanks for sharing them.
Of course. My pleasure.
Wow. Okay. My goodness. Well, I tell you, I never know how these podcasts are going to go, but this has been so much fun, Neal. I have so enjoyed getting to know you, and
Ruth, let me ask you this: have you ever had a podcast guest who's been at the gym working out while you've been ready? Is this also a podcast?
I haven't. One time I had a business call with my employer, and he was at the gym, and actually he got in trouble because they said you couldn't be on the phone, so he had to stop talking, and so we kept the business call going, but he couldn't say anything. So that yeah. So, so I've had that, but no, not at the gym. But hey, it's been fun. This will be definitely my most memorable interview to date. There is no doubt about that.
Good.
Oh, Sandra says it's the first time you haven't eaten during an interview, is what she said.
That's not true, Sandra. I'm eating my words.
Oh,
and my feelings. If somebody asked me what my best physical feature was, man, oh man, I don't know. You know what I really like? I like my eyebrow, especially this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, and maybe my nose. Maybe I don't know. No, it's not my smile. Absolutely not. I like one time I was in that Tiffanys ad with Doutzen that you mentioned.
Yes.
And I was in that ad, and you can still see it if you Google like Neal Bledsoe and Doutzen. You can see this like Tiffanys ad of the two of us on walking towards the Brooklyn Bridge, and the smile I have on my face as I look at her is like, I look like the biggest dork who used to play Dungeons and Dragons next to like a Dutch supermodel. I am like, I was like, I hated my smile, bro. Absolutely not.
Oh goodness. Well.
Who else has got a question? Stock tips, horoscopes.
Okay. Well, he's got. So if someone else has a question, they can either put in the chat or you can raise your hand. I can bring you on. Come on, it's your opportunity. You might not have the opportunity because next time he might be president, so you might not have the opportunity.
That's true. That's true. Barb, you look like you've got a question.
No.
Barb? Oh no. Okay. Evelyn? No. No questions. Kelly? No questions.
Oh my God.
Charlene? If you want to know what it's like on the other side of the country, all you got to do is ask, sweetheart.
Wait.
What do you do for just entertainment besides acting or anything? Is there something you have as a pastime?
You know, man, you know how I unwind, Charlene? This is going to sound terrible. I read articles in the Atlantic, and I watch Frontline. I am a foreign policy junkie. Oh. I listen to like dry podcasts hosted by former CIA directors. That's my idea of kind of like not even drinking Chianti or anything. It's just like it's I'm a weird chap.
Wow. Evelyn's asking, would you ever play a cowboy again?
Oh hell yeah, I'd absolutely do it. I when I booked the job, Evelyn, they said that Val Kilmer's going to be your dad, and you've got to. And I was like, that was enough for the job. But they also said, like, and you know how to ride a horse, right? I had ridden a horse once 30 years before that. Yeah, man. Go ahead. Sorry. Just stretching. You need to get on this. Okay, cool. I'll move. Sharing is caring, you know? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I lied and I told everybody that I knew how to ride a horse, and I took to it like a fish to water. It was my favorite thing about the job. The other thing I really liked about the job was that Val Kilmer was as lost as I was, and he was like, he couldn't figure out the lines. And there was our director was just interested in taking selfies with like Val Kilmer in the background and would like tell everybody that he would listen. But oh my God, I got Val Kilmer in my film. This is so amazing. And I get it. Like he was really geeking out and really loved the fact that he had Val Kilmer in his movie. I don't blame him for that. But Val Kilmer was looking for direction. And I was like, this is an utter train wreck. So I walked up to Val, and it was like, and this is Val's first film back after he had throat cancer and tracheotomy. He couldn't really talk, and like it's difficult for him to perform. So I went up to him and was like, hey Val, does this scene make any sense to you? He was like, no. I was like, oh, fantastic. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut this. You'll say this. We're moving this. Just improv with me here, and we'll do it. And we shot this scene together at sunset while the sun was setting. He had his side there with, and I was like, oh my God, I'm acting with one of my heroes. I've given him direction, and I've like rewritten the scene. It was glorious. I think that was one of my favorite moments as an actor I've ever had.
Well, that's cool. Okay, Amy Porter's asking, what is your motto in life or your favorite quote?
Man, my motto in life, my favorite quote.
Well, either or. Some people call it a motto. Some people just have a favorite quote.
I don't know. I think my motto is probably just, fuck it, try it, man. Just to keep adventuring, I guess, is like, okay. I don't know if I have a motto that's like words to live by.
Right. Okay.
I guess the thing I like most is just letting curiosity be my guide, both professionally and personally.
That works. And then Connie asked, do you have a hero or mentor or someone you look up to?
I do, yeah. I've got, I just had dinner with one of my mentors last night, this writer by the name of Gay Talese, who is a old, Gay is about 90 years old. He wrote for Esquire magazine. He's had 4 New York Times bestsellers, very famous nonfiction writer. He is definitely one of my mentors. Another mentor of mine is Judith Light, who played my mom on Ugly Betty, which was my first big job. But I think that, like, not to sound all corny about this, but I think that everybody can be a mentor to you. The children can be your mentors. They're teaching, everybody is teaching us how to see the world in kind of a different way if we let them, right? Meaning that everybody has kind of a wisdom to pass along. And I think the danger is you start to kind of like conceptualize yourself as an expert. Like, oh, I'm the mentor and this is my mentee. I'm the teacher, they're the student. You kind of miss what they could teach you as much as, and you see that, like, I mean, everybody here has parents, right? And then haven't we all kind of like crossed that Rubicon where like our parents kind of become our children in some ways, you know, that they're like, and they're kind of both, right? Like my dad, for instance, is a great mentor of mine, has always been, but in a lot of ways, emotionally, it's just such a dummy. I feel like I'm kind of like, I'm his mentor, or professionally, like I feel like I've done a lot of the things that he wishes he could have done. So I think those things are fluid.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a great wrap-up question because Paula Waters has asked, she's just kidding, but I know she's serious. Boxers or briefs?
What's up, Paula?
She says boxers
or briefs?
Yeah.
Oh, I answered this at the top when you were like the very, I said briefs. Actually, I know this is going to sound like a pandering, like I'm hedging my bets, but actually boxer briefs. Best of both worlds, Paula.
Okay. That works. All right. Well, I think we've gotten to the questions here. So I certainly had a great time chatting with you, Neal. It's been
oh yeah, right on.
And if you guys want to unmute and say, you know, thank you or whatever, if you want to do that, you know, you can feel free to do that here. And it was lots of fun. Great guest.
All the way from Texas, thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, thank you. Thanks
I
very
had
much,
so
guys.
much fun. Thank you both.
Yes. Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Hey,
Will you be
thanks
at
so much.
Christmas Con?
The one in Pasadena?
Yes.
I'm not sure. We'll see. Never say never.
Oh, okay.
I will be. I think I'll be at Rom and Drama. I'm not sure.
In West Palm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come see us there. But
Yep.
yeah, hey,
I'll be there.
thanks so much, everybody, for showing up and spending some time.
Best interview yet. Best interview.
You know, I keep hearing it.
The most memorable
Yeah, right.
interview. I don't think anything can top this one. It would be, because this had everything. This just had. There's something for everybody in this interview. So.
For sure.
Good. And I announced my bid for presidency, which
There you go.
constitutionally is impossible.
Not happening.
All right, I know. Thanks.
Right, well,
Right.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you again, Neal.
Bye, guys. And remember,
Bye.
my broken hand makes me look like a cat in a train.
Yeah.
Such fun.
Okay, all right. Bye-bye. Well, I don't know about you, but I can't think of any other place where you could get an interview like this. I mean, he's working out. Yes, there's some loud sounds in the background. Sorry that I was unable to mute all of those out. But I wanted to leave as much of all of the experience in for you guys, and I know that when you watch the video, you're going to really get a sense of who this guy is. He could go from hilarious to super serious in the span of an instant. And it just blew me away the way that he interacted with the audience, he interacted with me. And just so you know, this is just a little spoiler. There will be another bonus episode with Neal Bledsoe coming a little bit later on, and you'll find out about that. The guy's incredible, and he's so hilarious. I'm so sad I didn't meet him in Christmas Con. I was too busy working, and I won't be at Rama Drama to meet him, but hopefully at some point I'll get the chance to meet him in person. But regardless, I think this is pretty great. And, let's support his bid for presidency. That's what I'd say. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you would follow, rate, review on Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, give it a giant thumbs up and subscribe. I am getting more and more content out. So I really appreciate your support. Join the Facebook group so that you can be a part of the virtual audience. That's the joy and beauty of this particular setup. So please stick around, because there are some outtakes coming your way. And it's about 10 minutes of outtakes, unedited. So enjoy, and I will see you again on another episode of Media from the Heart. God bless.
App on your phone. Okay, it's telling me the recording's on. That's good.
I know. I'm
It's
just
got,
doing that just so I don't forget. That's all. I can edit it out.
so-
You're fine.
Oh, good. So every time I swear, you can edit it out.
That's right.
So this wall here, you have like an app on your phone, and you can plug in different combinations that'll light up. And that one over there, you can just see that other wall right there. It's like a climbing wall treadmill. It's crazy, really crazy. None of those things can I do right now because I got an injured paw. But
There you go.
so that's it. So Paula, you're from Buffalo.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Bills fan?
Yeah.
You're one of the Bills Mafia.
Yeah.
Do you guys-
We actually do all those tailgate parties in the 3 feet snow around you and the whole bit.
Oh, crazy!
Yeah.
Do you guys know this? That like the Buffalo Mafia, you guys, your tailgate parties are insane. And I see people like jumping off of like buses into folding tables like they're at a wrestling match or something. What's up with that? So people want to get brain damage just like the football players, or what?
We're just the best fans in the whole United States. That's all.
I got you. Just like every other fan base. Fantastic. Good to meet you, Paula. All right, who else we got here? Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
Hi,
How's it going? Where are you from?
I'm from Michigan.
Michigan. Again, I've never heard of it. I'm kidding. Are you from the mitt or are you from the little like finger?
I'm probably right around here, about Grand Rapids.
Okay. Cool. Fantastic. Right? Would you say that University of Michigan fans are the best fans in the world?
Well, I don't really pay much attention to football, but my husband would say that.
Okay. I guess we'll have to take his word for it. Kelly, it's good to meet you.
You
And
too.
is it Amy? Ime? How do you say that?
Amy.
Amy. Okay, Amy, where are you from?
I live in a small town just outside of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
I love Ottawa. I was just there.
That's good. Yeah, it's a nice
Yeah.
city.
It is. It's a very nice city. I love the art museum there. They got the what is it? The group of seven. All those like northern paintings and pictures. It's glorious.
Yeah, I grew up in the Toronto area, so I remember going to the Royal Ontario Museum to see the group of seven paintings down there. So.
Okay, cool. I was actually born in Toronto, but I'm a fake Canadian. I'm not really from Canada. I was just born there, and but the few times in my life that I had been in Toronto, I would always go to the ROM. Yeah, those are the two major cities. So I moved up here about 13 years ago to the area. So cool, right on, love it. Now, Barb, I'd ask you where you're from, but it says it right in your bio, unless that's your last name, Ohio.
Yes, I'm from Ohio.
Oh, okay, right on. Which part of Ohio are you from? The Ohio River part? Are you from the Cleveland part? Because you're like, depending on where you are in Ohio. You're okay, right on. And that's where the college team is, yeah?
Yes.
Ah, the Ruckeyes. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Evelyn, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Where are you from?
Texas.
Texas. All right.
Of course.
The Republic of Texas. Where in Texas are you from?
The Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Now, is Texas, do you know this or not? Texas comes from like a mestizo word or a Spanglish word meaning friend, doesn't it? Tejas?
Tejas, yeah.
Okay. Does it mean friends?
It depends on where you're coming into Texas from.
Well, I got you right. Right. If you're crossing the Rio Grande in the middle of the night, you might not say friend. Right. Fantastic. Well, nice to meet you, Evelyn.
Good to meet you.
And Mary, where are you from?
About a half an hour from Lake Erie, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, love Cleveland. Fantastic.
Saw you in Newark, and you broke into your British accent.
Oh, you saw me at Christmas Con. Oh, that's fantastic. I was, for those who don't know this, I actually spent most of the weekend in character. I just decided, it was fun. Why not?
It was fun.
Now, Mary, is it true that the Cuyahoga River that went through Cleveland once caught on fire? It was so polluted that it, that's absolutely true.
Very true.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they've gone to extremes now to keep it cleaner. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they put out the fire.
The lakefront, yeah.
Cool, fantastic. That's good news. Charlene Lee from Florida.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm tip top.
Good.
Where in Florida are you from?
I live in Bradenton, which is north of Sarasota.
Oh, okay. Right on.
And just right outside of Sarasota, and just south of St. Petersburg, across the bay.
Okay, wonderful. My niece is going to school down there right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's at Ringling College studying computer animation.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
I live up here too. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And the weather's treating you all right? Like,
Oh, yeah, it's like 85 and sunny here today. It's
That
beautiful.
sounds awful. Right? Right? If you look outside, it's like gale force winds in New York. All right. Well, cool. Good to meet you, Charlene.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Linda, how are you?
Good.
What's happening? You look like you're the coziest one of the bunch, except maybe Paula, who's sitting by a fire.
No, not really. No.
You're not the coziest one of the bunch?
Oh, I may be. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Right on. You look very comfortable. Linda, where are you from?
Pittsburgh. Born and raised in Pittsburgh.
Oh, cool. I was just on the phone with a good buddy of mine from Pittsburgh. I love it there.
Right. I was born up on Mount Washington, so I saw the city every day, rode the inclines down. That's my mode of transportation when I wanted to go to downtown.
Very cool. I love it. I love it. I was a monorail man myself when I grew up in Seattle. It only took me about 6 blocks, but it was the novelty.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Nice to meet you.
And I met you in New Jersey also.
Oh, okay. Right on. Right on. Well, you must have met Prince Henry, not Neal Bledsoe. It was a whirlwind of the time.
Whatever.
He's my alter ego. Right. I got to keep these two things separate there, Linda. And Paula, where are you from? Calling in from?
I'm another Ontario, Canada person.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're near Toronto, where you're born.
Okay.
Is that a gym? I jumped on later. Is that a rock climbing wall?
It is. That's a fingerboard. That's a rock climbing wall, and that's the weight room area. There's a slack line there. And
I'm a personal trainer. As a personal trainer, I noticed it right away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right on. Right on.
It's good that you're working out, and I love your style.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Connie,
and
what's happening?
Ruth Hill loves Princes, so I think she's just so happy that you're on today.
Oh, fantastic. Good. Connie, what's happening? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Minnesota.
Minnesota. Where in Minnesota?
About 3 hours out of Minneapolis, closer to Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. I've been through there. I used to drive when I went to school in North Carolina. I used to drive from Seattle to Winston-Salem, where I went to school. I went through there, got nice and a little bit inebriated at the Mall of America. Went through Camp Snoopy. It was a lot of fun. I love it. Cool. Well, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
All right. And we got connecting to audio, Jen and Chad that are offline. All right. Fantastic. Bettina, Robin, and we got Sandy in the house. What's happening? And Darlene. Well, hello, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, we have quite a group. You
it is quite a group.
Yes, you drew quite the group. Sometimes I only draw about 2 or 3 people for these recordings. So hey,
thank you so much for showing up.
Well,
so let's get into it.
Yep, sounds good.
We talking Ukraine. We talking energy policy. What do we want to discuss?
Honestly, the way I usually do it is I'll introduce you, and this is our first official interview. And not that I haven't tried to interview you before, as you realized.
But yes, consistency pays off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Bettina, I'm also sorry that you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better very soon.
But then I'm honest. After I read the bio, we'll just jump in, and I really keep it very conversational. And sometimes I think it's going one direction, and then it ends up going a completely different direction. And then towards the end, I usually open it up for questions. And I know there'll probably be a lot of people who want to have questions, so we might not get to everybody, but we'll do our best to get to as many questions as possible. But that's usually the way I handle it.
Cool. Right on.
All right. Sounds good. All right.